In this episode of Vibe Gardening from Dishing, we're going to talk about how I'm going to try to start growing garlics indoor because right now it's middle of October and the frost is nowhere in sight. And I'm going to start with garlic indoor, first time ever, and we're going to start with the experiment. With that said, let's go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how I got started here. In another video, I talk about some of the science of how people start their garlic and with growing it in ground from their gardens. But in this case, since we're going to be doing indoors, we're going to be experimenting with different pot sizes and also kind of how to adapt it to the different situation we're dealing with right now. So the first thing I did here was obviously these. So right here I got Music Head garlic, and so this right here is my group I got from Jacob's Fresh Farm, and these are Music Heads that were hardnecks that Jacob grew. So what I got here is a bunch of them, and then I've been putting them in the fridge to about 4 to 5 weeks now, which is what I need to do cold stratification to simulate winter for these garlic to make sure that they're acclimated and getting ready. Because these are hardnecks, which means that they need winter, and putting it in the refrigerator gives it that opportunity. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be using 3 different size of pots to see what actually works best. Because in nature, they need about 12 to 18 inches to be able to grow the roots downward. And what I have here is I have 3 different sizes here. I got the 1 gallon, 2 gallon growers, and this massive pot. And to show you guys the height difference here, so this one right here is approximately about 6.5 inches tall, so about 6 inches growth. This one, the 2 gallon, it's about 8.5 or 8 inches in height, and this massive one here is about 10 and about approximately 10 inches to grow with. So this is going to put us right kind of at the minimum here of what they can deal with. So with this 1 gallon here one, it is about 6 inches across, which will be able to support just one garlic. And here with this one, it is we're dealing with 8 inches, but still we only have room for one garlic. Whereas with this one, we are about 11 inches across, and we can actually support 4 garlics here, giving them about 6 inches between and 3 inches from the side. So with that said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start preparing some soil. So the biggest container that I can use here is my 5 gallon bucket here. I can use with some leftover dirt from other experiments, and which really doesn't matter all that much. So what I have here is I have the leftover pots, the dirt from my previous experiment in this 2 gallon planter, which is regular potting soil. And I'm going to basically just dump it in here. As you can see, it's got roots and all kinds of organic matter in there to give us some nutrition. And that's going to be a good start with some soil. Next here, we got these leftover soil my wife had from growing spinach indoors last winter. It's been sitting out for a little while, and we can use some of these soil in here as well. As you can see, I put some of the dirt in the large pot already. And the main reason for that is that I just don't have enough space in the 5 gallon bucket to be able to store all the soil that's going to be used for mixing. So the next step right now I'm going to do is I'm going to add more additive to make the soil more draining, to be able to make sure that the garlic does not rot in the soil. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add some of this, what's called seed starting mix that has no nutrition. It has a lot of cocoa coir and stuff to basically give it that structure needed. So since I have about twice as much soil in here, I'm going to put 2 parts of the twice as much in here. So I'm going to basically do about 4 scoops of this, approximately 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to about 2 scoops into here. And then, so now that we got a little bit of this for drainage, and now for structure of the soil, we're going to also add some perlite in here as well. So adding about three, 2 to 1 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're gonna have 2 in here, and that way it's gonna become well draining and give the soil the structure and the drainage needed for the garlic. The next step we're gonna do is we're gonna just basically mix the soil to make it everything into that mix. And I think so as you can see here, I basically gave up on trying to mix everything in a 5-gallon pot and bucket. So what I ended up doing here is I just took my wheelbarrow out to give myself actual space to do the mixing. So everything is all evenly mixed, and now I can actually start filling my planters and pots with the soil. Here we go. So here we are. We have all 3 pots filled, and time to prepare the garlic for the next step. As highlighted by Jack's video on how he started garlic, what he did was he took at least 70% rubbing alcohol, which is what we have here, and then we would soak our garlic in this. And that's what exactly I'm going to do here. That will give a nice little sterilization. He said put it in about 10 minutes or so. So I will let it go for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it should be sterilized for growing afterwards. So now that we're done soaking these in rubbing alcohol, we're ready to plant them. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one, and essentially right here, this is about 10-inch pot or so. And what we're going to do is we're going to go about 3-inch in, and then we're going to plant it right at the surface, exposing the tip right over it. And the reason we're doing this is because we don't have to worry about overwintering with this garlic, in that it's going to be indoors, so temperature is not going to be a problem. So we don't have to worry about the garlic having to survive a harsh cold winter. And we're going to be able to just put them right in here. I'm going to put the biggest ones in this big pot, give them the best chance to get the best growing condition. And yeah, that's how this goes. Now the next part of the equation that we're going to do is we're going to take this fast-acting sulfur, and so we're going to take about a 1/4 teaspoon per bulb, and we're going to take this granular, and we're going to spread about approximately about 1 inch away from the bulb to keep it from becoming a problem with touching the bulbs right away. And this way, this is going to give it the best chance of getting drained into the soil and letting the microbes do what they will with this fast-acting sulfur. And it's going to give it that garlicky flavor that the videos have talked about, and that in my other episode. And it'll also kill some of the microbes as well. So I'm going to do that for all 4 of these in this pot and the other 2 pot. So here we have the final destination of the garlics here. So this is my 2 shop light coming down here from my grow light video, where I show you guys how this thing is set up here. So right here, this is going to be enough light, I believe, for it to grow properly. It's going to have a timer for 16 hours of light a day. So now what I gotta do is just give it a water, and it'll be ready to go. So I want to make sure it gets a deep, nice deep watering here, soaking the whole entire thing until it drains out from the bottom. Of course, once you kind of see that right there, the head of these garlic are sticking up a little bit, I'm gonna have to recover them in water. But like I said, the main reason why I'm able to plant them so high up is the fact that these guys are going to be indoors, and we don't need the depth of the soil to protect them from overwintering. So as you can see here, I gave it about 2 gallons of water to water all the 3 pots, and being given that it's shallow at the moment, it doesn't need that much more. So at this point right now, I did not add any other nutrition to it, as it's fresh. Anything brand new potted, you want to give it enough time to develop roots first, before like really good roots, before adding more nutrition. So with that said, we're gonna monitor these when these guys are ready for more. When they start sprouting and the roots start appearing, then we're gonna give it more nutrition. But this is how I started my garlic. So I followed the steps given by Jack from Epic Gardening by sterilizing the garlic first. Put it about, because of the lack of cold winter, I basically put it at the surface of the soil, and it's still, I'm sure it's going to be just fine. And we're going to really see if 1 gallon or 2 gallon is going to be sufficient for the depth of the root. And then we're going to see how these garlic grow. And this is the start of my garlic experiment here. Until next time, keep gardening and keep vibing.